on, guys? It's Diane here with the latest on trucking news. So today we're going to talk about those updates on vaccine mandates. Now, I know this is a very sensitive topic for everyone. Well, it's the news, and no matter how unpopular these topics are, don't shoot the messenger. So, let's get to it. Research by the Trucking HR Canada shows that currently, even before any vaccination mandates take effect, nearly 20,000 job vacancies for truck drivers in Canada remain unfilled. So, let's talk to someone who works closely with drivers and the supply chain. Ronan, are you there?
Yeah, I can hear you.
How are you?
I am great.
Ronan, can you tell us, what do you think this will do to the industry?
So I talked to a lot of drivers, but first we need to understand right now that there are currently 320,000 truck drivers working in Canada. Approximately 320,000 truck drivers working across Canada, of which 120,000 of them are doing cross-border. Now that this mandate is coming out, they're saying that about 20% of the workforce is going to walk away. Well, I really don't think that 20% of the workforce is going to walk away. I feel like about 10% of that 20, so half of that 20% is really on the fence, and they're just waiting to I guess that final push to get vaccinated. Do I think it's the right thing to do? No, I don't. I think you should give the truck drivers a little bit more time to kind of get to it themselves. I don't think that we should be forcing people, especially truck drivers who were on the front lines when this pandemic happened. When the situation was I would say 5 or 6 times worse than it is now with the numbers. The truck drivers were on the front lines. These cross-border drivers, they put themselves at risk for our country. So let's go back to the numbers. So of this 320,000 truck drivers, 120 of them are actually doing cross-border. So if 5%, which is what I'm thinking is about 5-7% of the workforce might walk away, then we're looking at about 16,000 truck drivers that are going to be walking away from the industry. But really, now that Employment Canada has declared that if you are unvaccinated, you won't be eligible for EI, so meaning that if you walk away from the job, you're not getting paid, you're really kind of forced into a corner that nobody knows what they're going to do in that situation. So you can't go. So let's say you're really against the vaccine, you don't want to do the vaccine, you are going to get laid off, or you are going to be, you won't be able to get dispatched, you won't be able to cross the border. So then you're going to most likely find a position within Canada. But within Canada, we're also getting letters from the customers that they don't want to see drivers, or it's going to get to that drivers that they don't want to see inside their facilities in these manufacturing plants, drivers who are not vaccinated. You're not going to be able to get in these manufacturing facilities without showing proof of a vaccine. So whether it's going to happen now or it's going to happen in 6 months, even if they do give an extension, that time is going to come. It's just a matter of when it's going to come. So I think that, if you are walking away from a cross-border position, then you're going to go locally, but you're still going to face the exact same problem when you're going to be working locally. And also, if you do decide to walk away from the industry, well, really, it doesn't matter what industry now you're getting into, they're going to ask you for the proof of vaccine. What is this going to mean to the truck drivers that are vaccinated? Well, guess what? If 5, 10, or 15% of the workforce walks away, now you are 10 times more in demand than you were 2 months ago. So finally, maybe the rates are going to climb up to where they need to be, right? So truck drivers have been getting 60 cents per mile. I would say in the last 2 years, the norm was 60 to 70 cents per mile, depending on what you do if you're doing cross-border long haul. Well, maybe that's going to start climbing to 70, 80, and even 90 cents per mile. If 5 or 10% of the workforce walks away. So I really feel now with, they keep talking about the driver shortage, but with a driver shortage and 5 or 7% of the workforce walking away, well, now your rates are going to be going sky high. So shipping rates are going to be going sky high. And also driver pay rates are going to be going sky high. I know I'm in touch with over 2,000 drivers. So it's just a matter of, us updating our rate sheet if 5 or 7% of the workforce does walk away. And now we're going to up our rates. And here I am, I'm going to send a text message to 2,000 drivers. And there's going to be a war for drivers. There's going to be, it's going to be a very competitive market for truck drivers.
Thanks, Ronan. The CTA said the supply chain is not ready for the mandate, and the new timelines are needed to avoid disruptions and delays. CTA President Stephen Leskowski said, "Our industry is already facing a significant driver shortage, and introducing this mandate will cause significant disruptions at various points of the supply chain. Government and industries need to work together to develop a plan that achieves the goal of increasing vaccination rates while ensuring cross-border goods movements remain as seamless as possible. Losing close to 38,000 drivers, essentially overnight, will be devastating, especially with no short-term labor on its way. Make no mistake, if this mandate moves forward as planned, there will be significant consequences for the cross-border economy, the impact of which will be felt by the Canadian and American public." Let's use the UK for example. The truck driver shortage plaguing the UK is not only a British problem. The continent is also facing a shortfall and potential supply chain problems. The UK is facing a petrol crisis. There are long lines of cars waiting outside British gasoline stations and even fights on forecourts as panic buying spreads across the country amid the shortage of truck drivers able to deliver fuel. Brexit was named one of the key reasons for the shortage of heavy goods vehicle drivers, although problems in the industry go way deeper and are found across Europe. A survey of 616 industry figures in June by the Road Haulage Association in the UK found that retirement changing working rules, the COVID pandemic, low pay, and drivers leaving the industry were among the reasons for the lack of operators. We could see the same thing happen in North America. As shelves are starting to look bare, the public starts to panic, and when the public starts to panic, all hell breaks loose. On the Government of Canada's website, it says, "The Government of Canada has announced that all of its employees of the core public administration, including the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, must be vaccinated. This requirement applies whether you are teleworking, working remotely, or working on-site. For employees refusing to disclose their vaccination status, whether they are fully vaccinated or not, for whom an accommodation is not granted, and where the employee is still unwilling to be vaccinated, or for an employee who has attested that they are unvaccinated, the employer will implement the following measures after a 4-week period from the effective date to comply with the requirements. As early as November 15th, if the employee has not had their first vaccine dose or submitted their request for accommodation, the employee is considered unwilling and consequences begin. Employees will also be considered unwilling if they have not received their second dose within 10 weeks of having received their first dose." So what does this mean? Consequences of remaining unvaccinated or not attesting: employees will be placed on leave without pay, and the employer will stop assigning employee hours of work. Employees who have one dose as of the attestation deadline will have a period of up to 10 weeks after the first dose to receive their second dose. If they do not receive their second dose within 10 weeks, they will be placed on leave without pay. If employees are on leave without pay for a period of 5 days or longer, they will be temporarily struck off the pay system and they will be issued a record of employment. When the world was under crisis and under total lockdown, drivers were the one who showed up and got the job done. They were and still are very essential to the economy. The situation has deflated from the beginning of the pandemic. So why now? Why are they forcing frontline workers when they showed up and the world was under complete crisis? And if they refuse to get vaccinated? Well, thousands of cross-border truck drivers would be laid off, worsening the local driver crisis. Do we really want to take a risk of having empty shelves for consumers? Look at England and how the supply chain has taken a huge dip in drivers and consumer goods. With Black Friday and Christmas around the corner, one of the biggest and busiest seasons in the trucking industry, the demand for drivers continues to rise as spots continue to empty. And everyone is scrambling to figure out a solution before the economy falls apart. What are some of your thoughts? Is a vaccine worth losing your job? What are some other solutions do you think that are out there? Let us know in the comments. Subscribe to our channel and stay tuned for vaccine updates and the latest in trucking news. This is Diane Gagne, and we'll see you next week.